What is up, everybody? Kicker06 back with another test video of the Ryzen 7 8700G. Today's games that we are testing in this one video are Ark Survival Ascended and Survival Evolved. Figured might as well put them both in the same video to make it easier for you guys. Before we get started, I wanted you to know that the links to everything that's inside of the computer that we're testing on, as well as my Discord link, will be down below. And the final 6.5 minutes of this video is pretty much an informational, just showing you all the software I downloaded and all the settings and configurations I changed before I started all of my testing. Just so you know exactly what I did and exactly how I did it. It gives you a better understanding of what we were able to do with this CPU. Unfortunately, with this game, it's probably the worst results I've gotten out of any of the 20-some games that I've played. This one is really tough, and in short, I would say no. Don't try to play this. Playing it even without bases, without dinos that I've tamed, without any mods, without anything, it is still not the best picture. I mean, obviously, like you can see right now, you can run around, but it does not look good. Right now we're in Survival Ascended because it's the newer one. I figured I'd put this one first. We're in low settings and we kind of sat around 45 FPS with 15 FPS at the 1% low. I know right now it says 8, but it evens out to around 15. Which is concerning because this is the lowest settings it can possibly be, and it's still only pushing 45 average FPS. Which probably means it's going to get real sketchy when you start adding bases and dinos and your friends and all that stuff into it. When we swapped over to medium settings, that FPS dropped to 30 average and the 1% average has dropped to 10. Once we get to Survival Evolved, it actually performed better. So we did low, medium, high, and epic. In low settings on Survival Evolved, we were sitting at 60-30, so 60 FPS with 30 for the 1% lows. It was a lot more playable than Ascended, I'll tell you that right now. Medium, it dropped down to about 40 FPS and 30 for the 1% lows. Medium and high were pretty much the exact same, 40 FPS, 30 FPS for the 1% lows. And when I went to Epic, just to see what would happen, it was a solid 30 FPS with a 25 1% low. So would I recommend playing this game on this APU? Absolutely not. I wouldn't do it personally. But I might be wrong. You might think you got better luck than I do because you know this game better. You know how to make it look better. But I don't. So if you think you have, you know, what it takes, go ahead, give it a try. But I will say, out of all the games that I've done, this one looks the worst. But do with this information what you will. That is going to be it for me. If you want any other games, feel free to put it down in the comments below, and I will make a video portraying whatever game you want, as long as it's cheap, free, or I own it. I plan on keeping this test rig for quite a while to pump out some videos for you guys, so don't hesitate to put one down below. But that is it for me. Time for me to go outside and shovel some snow, and I'll catch you guys at the next video. What is up, guys? If you made it this far, thank you so much. I appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed the videos. I hope you found them helpful. Over the past couple days, I have tested about 20 different games, and this is kind of the part where I just want to go over with you guys my settings and maybe go over an issue or two that I had. First off, this right here is called FPS Monitor. I got it off of Steam. I believe it was a couple bucks, but this is where I got all the information that was in, I think, all but one of the videos. And I think CS Counter-Strike 2, I think, did not take this. I don't remember. One of them didn't like it and it wouldn't work. But FPS Monitor on Steam, I think it was a couple bucks, but that is exactly what I used. As for this is the Adrenaline. This is the AMD Adrenaline app that you will need if you are going to get the CPU or any of the G series from Ryzen. So HyperRX is well known for it being the best for FPS. It has the Super Res that was on, Fluid Motion Frames 2 that was on, Anti-Lag and Boost. All of these were on. You can go to quality, and I think it's pretty comparable, but based on my research, HyperRX is definitely the one that you want to go to for performance, and you can get all these. You can have your own overlay. You can set it up here. I just didn't do that because I like the way the other one was formatted a little bit better. Here's the system right now. I have 32 gig of RAM installed. There's the Ryzen 7 8700G as advertised. So right now it says there's only 24 gig of RAM, and I will tell you why right now. I went into the BIOS and changed the UMA frame buffer size to 8 gig, which means that I took 8 gig of the physical RAM and turned it into VRAM for the APU, so it would have more power. With 32 gig, that gave us plenty of room since most of the games today did not even get over 20 gig usage of RAM. So that gave us some extra FPS. So that's why I did it. I allocated 8 gig of RAM, and that's why right there. I had a question in my chat before that was asking me what version I was using of Windows. So there it is, Windows 11 Home. There's the version in the OS build. So the next thing that I wanted to show you was AMD Ryzen Master. This is where I go for basically the overclocking, really. So I set it on game mode, turned on Precision Boost Overdrive. On top of that, I came down to sock voltage. So the GPU sock voltage was, I set it to 1.275, and I will tell you exactly why. Once I got into the more demanding games like Halo and Warzone and Ark, the computer started just resetting on me, and it would just reset and go right back to the login screen. So I did a little bit of research on Reddit and YouTube, and I found one guy that said he had those same exact issues, and he said it was a voltage problem. So he raised it up to 1.275 volts, and it worked flawlessly, and it was stable, and he never had an issue again. I think, if I remember right, it was on like 1.15 or 1.175, something like that. So he didn't raise it a crazy amount, but over the past 7, I believe, the past 7 games that I tested, 0 issues and no issues, no criticals in the event viewer either. A couple other things in the BIOS, like I said, I allocated that VRAM. I made sure that the resize bar was enabled. I set the F clock to 2500 and the U clock was at 3000 because I used 6000 megahertz RAM. And XMP was on for this, by the way, in case you were curious. Let's see what else I have for you guys before we go out. So that FPS monitor app that I use, it showed the 1% and 0.1% lows. And I just want you to know that the first 20 to 30 seconds after I changed to a different graphical setting, it kind of resets that. So the first 20 to 30 seconds are not trustworthy. So if I switch over and you see, oh, it's only 5 FPS for a 1% low for 25 seconds. That's awful. It was not that bad, which is why it went from 5. In most cases, it went from that 5 FPS or 2 FPS all the way up to 30 or 40. It just had to reset, and it basically has to play catch up. One other thing I wanted you guys to understand, all of this testing was done on a 27-inch Asus TUF curved 1080p 165 hertz monitor. The frames were basically the frames were uncapped if it was possible, and if possible, every single one of these games was done in full screen exclusive. And the last thing I wanted you guys to know is that all of the recording and all of the FPS monitoring software was done on the computer while playing the game. So I did go back and I played 5 to 10 of the games over again just to see the difference in the FPS without having to run OBS and FPS monitor. And it came down to about a 5 to 13 FPS differential when the OBS and FPS monitor were turned off. When the game was the only thing running, there was an increase of about 5 to 13 FPS on average. And I know that's kind of a very precise number, and that's just exactly what it was. So that is going to be it for me. If you have any other questions or if you want to see any other games, please feel free. Put them in the comments below and I will get to them. I plan on keeping this computer for a while. I hope you guys have a great rest of your night. Don't be safe, don't do anything stupid, and I will catch you guys on the next video.